every time people say, hey, Tesla doesn't have a motor, it doesn't need oil, you don't have to do an oil change. BS to it doesn't have a motor, BS that it doesn't need an oil change. It don't need an oil change, but one thing it does have, it has oil in the motor. So guess what? I heard a little creaking sound coming from the back of this 2020 Tesla Model 3 with 100,000 miles. It was like a coming from the back. That's called a motor mount. Because just like other cars, Tesla motors, because some got dual motors. I don't know if any of you don't pay attention to that, but the motors have a motor mount, just like a regular car, and sometimes they go bad. And in this Tesla Model 3 with just 100,000 miles, the motor mounts went bad. But here's the trick: if the motor mount goes bad, you got to change the whole motor. You know how much that costs? $4,500. Just like a motor for a regular car. So you think you're worried about the battery? What about the motor? And guess what? The motor is leaking oil. So for the people who says, "Oh, you don't have to do anything, the motors don't go bad," yes, they do. This motor went bad at 100,000 miles, just 400 miles past the warranty. Guess who has to pay for that? This guy. Now, I am talking with Tesla service and their managers trying to see if I can get the motor swapped out because I just broke the 400 mark, but there's no guarantees. So, another thing to check for when you're driving a Tesla, any model, you hear a creaking sound like what we normally would hear come from, the control arms or the shocks, because you got to change those because they do get bad. You also got to pay attention to the motor mounts, because if you don't pay attention to that, you can find yourself in a really bad predicament, especially if you got high miles on your Tesla, like me. Because I buy Tesla with high miles. Because I was one of the people who thought, hey, you know, buy a Tesla with high miles because they can go high miles. Yeah, they can. But they got a lot of issues: batteries, control arms, electricals, motors, the 12-volt battery, the big battery, the doors, the windows. There's a lot of issues with these cars at high miles. Try to stay below 50. Stay below 50.